So I know many Christians know a lot about the story of creation, how God in 6 days created everything, but if that were the case, then what does the Bible say about dinosaurs? Were they created on the 6th day, and did they coexist with people? Or were they actually alive millions of years ago, like how evolutionists say? On top of that, where are they today? And what does the Bible say about their extinction? If you guys didn't know, this is actually another topic that can cause a lot of division between believers. So before we dive into the different viewpoints on dinosaurs, I do want to say that this video is purely informative, and our goal is not to persuade you to believe any particular point of view. So that being said, I do want to stress unity and tell you that Christians can disagree on their views concerning dinosaurs and still have fellowship and be friends. So as we dive into the topic of dinosaurs and the age of the earth, I would encourage you to consider these different points of view and for you to develop your own opinion. So, what does the Bible say about dinosaurs? I have 3 thoughts for you.
With all of this talk about dinosaurs, it got me thinking about other things in life that are ancient, like your internet connection, for example. Your internet connection is a fossil, connecting to websites without protection and exposing browsing data to corporations, hackers, and even government monitoring. It's like putting your data in a museum for everyone to see, except instead of coming to life at night, they can just, steal it. And this is where PIA VPN comes in. They encrypt your connection, hide your IP address, and keep your digital activity private. With servers in 91 countries and all 50 US states, you can safely connect from just about anywhere. But that's not all. PIA also blocks ads, trackers, and malicious websites right out of the box with their built-in Mace feature. That means fewer interruptions, faster browsing, and better protection from sneaky scripts trying to follow you across the web. But here's something even cooler. PIA VPN unlocks access to movies and shows that aren't available in your country. For example, The Land Before Time, the classic dinosaur movie we all grew up on, that's not available in the US Netflix. But with PIA, you can switch your server location to the Netherlands, where it is available to start watching. Right now, PIA is offering Impact viewers an exclusive deal of 83% off plus 4 extra months free. That's about $2 a month. And if you're on the fence, no worries, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. Just head to piavpn.com/impactvideoministries or click the link in the description to claim your discount. Thanks to PIA VPN for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it.
Thought number 1, dinosaurs could have coexisted with man. Genesis chapter 1, verse 24. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth, each according to its kind, and it was so." In this passage, Moses was describing the different days of creation, and on the 3rd day, God created the land and the plants, and on the 6th day, he created all the animals that filled the land. And I want you to notice that Moses referred to all living creatures, and there were different kinds of creatures. So among them were mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and even insects that we see today. And if you continue reading, God even created humans on the 6th day. So some Christians believe that creation happened between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago, which is a view called young Earth creationism. In this view, dinosaurs are included in this account and were created on this 6th day of creation. And they would have coexisted with humans until around the flood, which is described in Genesis chapter 7. And one important point about this view relates to the interpretation of days. So this view sees days mentioned in this account as literal 24-hour days in which God miraculously created everything before resting on the 7th day. And if God created everything in this window, including Adam and Eve, then you can trace back the genealogies in the Bible. It places this event in history not millions of years ago, but thousands. So dinosaurs then would be living with Adam and Eve, according to this view. Another important point about this view is that some descriptions of large animals in the Bible could have referred to dinosaurs. Job chapter 40 verses 15 to 17 described a behemoth that had a tail as big as a tree. And Job chapter 41 described a leviathan that could possibly be a huge serpent with tons of teeth, a hard and scaled body, and a mouth that could breathe fire. And though many scholars identify the behemoth as a poetic description of an elephant or hippopotamus, and the leviathan as a crocodile or large fish, others see this as referring to large reptiles or dinosaurs. And one indicator on that is the description of the large tail, which doesn't seem to match up with the small tails of elephants or hippos. And another indicator is the description of breathing fire, which seems more like a dragon, which is a large reptile. So if dinosaurs were created along with humans not too long ago, what happened to them? And why aren't they around today? This brings us to another important interpretation in the young Earth perspective, and that is the firmament and the flood. So look at the description of day 2 in Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 to 7, that reads, "Then God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven." In this passage, God took the waters and separated them in preparation for the dry land on the next day. And I want you to notice that the waters are said to be split between those below and those above. And the waters below was the water in the sea, and this firmament of waters above is referred to as heaven or sky. So imagine this huge layer of water hovering above the atmosphere. So according to the young Earth view, this firmament would have altered the atmosphere of the Earth to be highly suitable for life, which may be the reason why Adam and his children, until the time of Noah, were able to live to be about 900 or so. And this environment probably allowed large animals like dinosaurs to live and thrive. So, what changed? Well, this view sees the firmament as having collapsed in a universal flood that wiped out most of life on Earth. And in Genesis chapter 7, verses 11 to 12, it says that on the first day of the flood, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened, and rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So in this passage, it describes the beginning of the flood, which was not just a light drizzle, but a ton of water. And if there was a ton of water in the firmament or sky, then it would have poured out. So people who hold this view look at the part of the verse that says, "The windows of the heavens were opened," and they believe this meant that the water that the firmament had was unleashed on the earth. And this unleashing was the cause of a universal catastrophic event where water covered the whole earth and wiped out most of the dinosaurs. And if there were any dinosaurs left over, the change in the atmosphere likely would have killed them, or any others would have been hunted by early humans after the flood. And another view some young Earth creationists can believe is that some dinosaurs, or very close reptilian descendants, could still be around today, but in obscure and unexplored parts of the Earth or oceans. So to close this point, if you take a young Earth perspective, then you believe that dinosaurs were created with humans some thousands of years ago, and that they died out in the flood or shortly thereafter based on the changes in the atmosphere of the Earth. Next, let's go to thought number 2. Dinosaurs could have existed millions of years ago. Genesis chapter 2, verse 4. "These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens." In this passage, Moses described the creation of the earth, and he gave a broad overview of what God did and how he created the heavens and the earth. And then Moses transitioned from that bigger picture of creation to then focusing on the details of Adam's creation, which happened on the 6th day. And I want you to notice that the word for day here is not used to refer to a literal 24-hour period of time, or even one of the 6 creation days. Instead, the word day referred to the whole creation account itself. So it's kind of like saying back in the day kind of thing. And that's significant because some Christians see the accounts in Genesis not as literal scientific descriptions of 24-hour days, but more as a general historical and sometimes figurative account describing the earliest generations of creation. So the next view we're going to talk about is called Old Earth Creationism, and Christians who hold this view see dinosaurs as having existed long before humans and then became extinct also before mankind entered the scene. So for old Earth creationists, one of their goals is to integrate modern views of science into their view of creation. So for them, when they see things that are dated millions of years old, they try to look at those details and they try to see how they can understand the creation account in the Bible with those findings in mind. Another key thing to know is that old Earth creationism is a very broad view with many different sects within that one view. So some old Earth creationists see the days as long ages that lasted millions of years, and others see the creation days as regular 24-hour days with large gaps of time between them. So it would look like 24 hours here, and then possibly millions of years here, and so on. And others view creation and the 6 days of creation as two separate events. And they believe that in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, God created the heavens and the earth, but after that, millions of years passed, and then in verses 2 and on, is God going into greater detail about what he already created. So their timeline would look like this, with God creating the heavens and the earth here, with the gap of time being millions of years here, and then the 6 days of creation happening here. But the common denominator between these views is that they tend to view the creation account figuratively, meaning that the time it took for all 6 days of creation to finish could possibly span decades, centuries, or even millennia. So the whole account of creation could have been millions of years according to this view. And old Earth creationists would use verses like 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8, which says that one day for the Lord is as 1,000 years. And because of this verse, they'd say, look, God is outside of time. So when he created everything in these days, he could have meant something else because time looks different to God because he's outside of it. So that being said, the old Earth creationist would encourage believers to explore all the different viewpoints that Christians could have regarding creation. On top of that, within the old Earth creationist view, there are even some Christians who agree with some parts of evolutionary theory, in the sense that they believe that all living creatures did evolve from a long time ago, but God was over it and used it in his creation process. And regarding this view, one problem does surface if dinosaurs did exist and became extinct before the creation of people, and it's the issue of death. Because if death only existed after Adam and Eve sinned, why did the dinosaurs die? So for the young Earth creationist, they'd believe the dinosaurs coexisted with mankind and only died after Adam and Eve sinned. So for the old Earth creationist, they believe that animal and plant death could have existed before sin. And the reason why is because God could have allowed the death of animals, plants, or even bacteria or other microorganisms to assist with the cycle of life to make living more suitable for the focus of his creation, which is people. So to close this point, if you take an old Earth perspective, then when it comes to dinosaurs, this view has no problem saying that God created the universe long before humans, placed dinosaurs in that timeline, and then created humans later after they had gone extinct. So I know that's a lot of differences we covered, but there is one belief that all views of dinosaurs and creation do agree on, and we cover it here in thought number 3. Dinosaurs were created by God. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So this is the first verse in the Bible, and Moses was very clear that in the beginning, God created everything. He created the stars and our sun, and he created the vast galaxies and our own solar system, and he created our earth and every living thing on it, including humans who are made in his image. And at the end of his creation, God called it very good. So whether you believe that dinosaurs existed only thousands of years ago or millions of years ago, believers can all agree on this. God is the creator of all things, and that includes dinosaurs. And to add to this, we should all recognize that many Christians over the years have held different views about the creation account. Two great early examples are Basil the Great and Augustine, who are both widely regarded as church fathers and theologians who defended Christianity around 300 to 400 AD. Basil the Great held a young Earth position because he saw 6 literal 24-hour days. And on the other side, Augustine believed God could have created everything in an instant, and he viewed the days symbolically. And after them, you could look at great men like Martin Luther and John Calvin, who held to a young Earth perspective, and Thomas Aquinas and C.S. Lewis, who were open to an old Earth perspective. And all these great Christian thinkers who lived at different times remind us that we as fellow believers don't need to agree on the same interpretation for every single verse of the Bible, because ultimately, we can agree on the main thing. And for this case on dinosaurs, while we can disagree on when they existed, we can still agree that they were created by God. Okay? So to wrap everything up on dinosaurs, here are 3 thoughts for you. Dinosaurs could have coexisted with man, dinosaurs could have existed millions of years ago, and dinosaurs were created by God. To close, I do remember some of my old junior high students having questions on dinosaurs. And at the time, I kind of held a young Earth perspective, but now 5 years later, I feel like I'm more in the middle. Like, it does make sense to me that God could have created everything in 24-hour days, but now I'm seeing the credibility of dinosaurs possibly living millions of years ago. And the more I look at it, I think my view on dinosaurs can be summed up in this quote by Rupertus Meldenius. In essentials, unity. In non-essentials, liberty. In all things, charity. Or in other words, let's agree on the essentials of our faith, have the freedom to disagree in the non-essentials, and in everything, let's have love. And to add to that, I would also encourage you to remember that Jesus loves you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching that video. If it was a blessing to you, please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. I also want to give a huge shout out to our team listed below. Their hard work makes this whole thing possible, so give them some love. Their links are in the description below. We also want to say a big thank you to our newest members who joined this week. We appreciate you guys so much. Your support makes videos like this possible, so thanks for being a part of this journey. If you'd like to support us in the work we're doing, please consider becoming a member. For the price of a coffee each month, you can be contributing towards reaching people online with the gospel message. Click the link in the description below and become a part of the community today. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you all next time. God bless.